Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So today we have another round of Twitter users complaining about drawings. That's nothing new, but this video is special because we're going to be focusing on Idol ES, which is a new Spanish-speaking generation of the VTuber agency Idol. This is something that is very exciting. You know, you normally think of English and Japanese-speaking branches of VTuber agencies, and now we have a Spanish-speaking one, which is obviously very exciting to a lot of people because I know a lot of my viewers are Spanish speakers as well. So here we have this group, and a lot of people are angry about them. Why are people angry? Well, some of the people are angry about Idol ES in general, but people are also angry about a lolly VTuber in this new generation. Now, this video is very special because we have both antis from the English side of Twitter and the Spanish-speaking side of Twitter angry about this. And this proves that the language of the anti is a universal one, okay? We're gonna see a lot of funny moments, including your likes are public moments, because apparently they're not very aware of this tactic on the Spanish-speaking side of Twitter, so we're gonna have a lot of fun and get a lot of mileage out of that tactic. But let's begin with this right here. So someone quote retweeted one of their promotional posts for this new generation saying, "It's your friendly reminder that Idol Corp is an Israeli-owned company and is part of the boycott, so please don't support them." Ah yes. Because the management of Idol Corp is based in Israel, people have been protesting this agency by virtue of just existing in that country. They are being blamed for the actions of their government, which is absolutely unhinged, by the way. And we've seen this before. I covered this in a video a few months ago. We had this post with 11,000 likes calling for a temporary boycott of Idol. They couldn't even do an indefinite one. They said it was only for a week. One of the strongest protest you've ever seen among Twitter users. But going forward, the main reason people were attacking Idol Corp and this particular generation has to do with this member right here. Now you see some people really supported this VTuber. I don't even have to translate this message. I already know they are quite excited about this VTuber in particular. But we see tweets like this saying, "What the F is the fourth member here? What the F? How is this even legal?" Well, it's legal because it's a drawing, and despite your emotional response to it, that does not make it illegal. And to answer your question, this is the VTuber, the fourth one in that row. Her name is Akugaki Koa. Now, of course, we're going to promote her as we always do. We do the Streisand effect. It's one of the most fun things I can do on this channel. When people try to cancel a person on Twitter, whether it's a VTuber or whoever, we like to promote that person because they're doing nothing wrong. If you don't like this sort of a VTuber, lolly VTuber in particular, just ignore it. You don't have to harass them. You don't have to do that. And in response, I'm going to elevate them or do my best to elevate them. And of course, you know, there's a lot of misinformation about this topic. I talk about lolly stuff pretty routinely, but there's always people who are new and they don't know the general stance. You can thank Twitter for spreading so much misinformation about this term that people believe it has something to do with age, when it has something only to do with a body type. It's just a petite body type from fictional works in manga and anime. That's all it is. That's why Rebecca from Cyberpunk, despite being in her 20s, is a lolly. And if you don't believe me, and like Twitter always tries to protest, then believe the words of the actual creators of the anime who refer to her as a lolly. But of course, at the end of the day, you are entitled to not like these things. If it disgusts you, that's okay. If you want to completely remove yourself from anything to do with this subject, that is very valid. You don't have to like these things. It's okay to not like it. But that shouldn't enable you to go out and harass people and slander them over a subject you could just simply ignore. And of course, people aren't going to do that. You can see this quote in Spanish translated here saying, "I will end up harassing her to the point that she will know not to mess with a bull like me." I hope that is a mistranslation. Are you really calling yourself a bull? That is embarrassing. But yeah, but congratulations on your debut and I wish you success. We're going to see a lot of messages like this. Here's another one saying, "This is actually the most vile shit I've ever seen come from a corpo to date." Yes, ladies and gentlemen, having a lolly VTuber is the most disgusting thing this person has ever seen from a corpo. Yes, coming off of a few months ago, we had a VTuber like Dokibird claiming that she was bullied and harassed to the point of almost attempting to take her own life twice. But this is somehow worse. These people cannot be real, by the way. But of course, like I hinted at earlier in the video, your likes are public. How do you say your likes are public in Spanish? Como se dice your likes are public? Because this tool is going to be something that is very valuable for the rest of this video. Apparently on the Spanish-speaking side of Twitter, they are not very aware of this stuff because it seems like every person who was complaining about this in Spanish ended up having lolicon in their likes. It was like clockwork. And I'll give you a few examples. Starting with this user saying this, translated of course, the artist who made the model of the semi-nude minor, referring to Koa, also makes not safe for work of minors. There is nothing to discuss. Look, I was quite an Idol EN fanboy, and I expected a lot from Idol ES. But the fact that they have accepted that lowers it a lot. Okay, well, your likes are public. This is a pretty brutal one. I only checked for a very short period of time, and I found all of this. Of course, we have Gargura here. We have Miku, who's underage. We have Hitori here, who's also underage. Nagatoro, who's like 15. And another Miku here. And if you're keeping score at home, by the way, we saw this exact same piece of Miku art in another Auntie's Likes a few videos ago. Another Your Likes Are Public moment with this exact same image. It just a funny coincidence. They can't resist these sets of characters. These same characters always end up in their likes. But moving on, here's another interaction under that previous post where this person's basically saying the artist is a lolicon. This is nothing new to the scene. There's lots of lolicons in the VTubing scene, where this user says this: saying that is something common does not mean that it is wrong. Your likes are public, as this artist points out. And of course, this image right here is Komi-san, and Komi-san is 16 years old. 16 años. No bueno. That's definitely very hypocritical of someone like that to say. But moving on, here's some English speakers. This one saying, why is nobody pointing out that Koa looks like a literal child in a bikini top? Yikes. Okay, please, for the love of God, aunties, learn what the word literal means. This is not a literal child. If you think this is a literal child, you have literal schizophrenia, okay? Is that much clearer? And again, your likes are public. This one is more just kind of goofy, like the most self-aware Toradora fan. And also, here you can see they clearly play Grand Blue Fantasy, which is riddled with lolly characters, including characters like this that have an exposed midriff just like the character or the VTuber they're complaining about. There is zero self-awareness among these people. But moving on, here's another user saying in English, how can they think I have the best VTuber design ever and come up showing this blue little girl? And the fact that most of the people is okay with the design, what the hell? Nah, I'm gonna learn English. Changing to EN community, y'all. Oh my god. Tourist afuera! This is embarrassing. Do you have any idea what the English-speaking side looks like? Don't listen to the aunties. They're coping and seething and making up a scenario that doesn't exist. Lolly is present throughout the English side. In fact, the biggest contributors to the scene are often lolly VTubers or lolicons themselves. And all you gotta do is look at Gargura. The top is occupied by a lolly VTuber who's also a lolicon. I mean, you might want to stay away from the entire VTubing scene at this point if you're so upset about this general topic. But moving on, here's another one. An artist saying this. Can we talk about how uncomfortable and disgusting this is? I know they will come out of the argument, but she's 1,000 years old. WTF, she is a sexualized girl. And let's not even mention that almost everyone in the agency is Japanese. But that's just my thing. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by saying they're Japanese? Do you have an issue with people being Japanese? Yeah, the least racist auntie, am I right, guys? But hear this argument again, but she's 1,000 years old. Nobody's making that argument. Nobody's going to make that argument. Only aunties raise this argument while they're arguing with a straw man. No one unironically says this other than aunties when they're literally arguing with their own boogeymen, okay? But moving on, we have another person saying why the kid has less clothes than the other ones, which we would get a solution to that with this user speaking in Spanish translated, of course, saying, I tried something to find out if what I didn't like was the design. It's actually the clothes and not the rest. So they crudely painted this low quality asset onto her to give her clothes. We literally are seeing in Spanish a I fixed your art moment here. This is unbelievable. Never before seen. But yeah. There's nothing more disrespectful, I've talked about this a million times, there's nothing more disrespectful than literally tracing over someone else's art and basically saying I fixed it. If you have an issue with this design, the original one, then just ignore it. Don't crudely trace over it and do this. Like, there's no benefit to this. They're not going to change the design because of you. You're just doing this for your own benefit. It's a waste of time. It's just a waste of time and it's disrespectful. But as always, that is the situation for now. What we'll do here is I'll provide a link to Koa's page. You can also check out the remainder of this group. I'll actually give a link to that as well, this post right here, so you can check out the other members, especially if you're a Spanish-speaking viewer. I know this will be a very good opportunity. This is something very cool to see, an English or Spanish-speaking branch, when we're used to seeing nothing but English and Japanese-speaking branches. And, you know, of course, there's some exceptions, but to see a Spanish-speaking branch from a agency like this is a very positive thing. But of course, people on Twitter are miserable and swoop in to ruin anything that looks like a good time for VTuber fans. But as always, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please feel free to share all your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time.